Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon news update for September 25th, 2024. First off, today we're going to start with a little background about the new temple that's having its open house in Utah this week. From an article in the Deseret News from January of 2021, it says, the backstory about the abandoned plans to build a Latter-day Saint temple in the Tooele Valley of Utah is about a decision by senior church leaders to avoid contention and division. Even after just reading that one sentence, my first question is going to be, if they can do this in Tooele Valley in Utah, why can't they do it in all the other places that they are building temples currently? The article then says, on Tuesday, the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints announced it would not build the Tooele Valley, Utah temple in Urda, Utah. The decision stalled a year's worth of work on the temple design and halted a housing development process. Instead, the church will take this same exact building design and construct the Deseret Peak Temple a 7-minute drive away in Tooele. The new temple is named for the highest peak in the area. If they can take a temple design and just move it to a different lot, why aren't they doing that in Fairview, Texas? The article then says that project included more than a temple. The church said it needed to build a development of homes and park area around the temple on the valley floor in Urda to provide infrastructure and secure the future of the temple's surroundings. With widespread support, the county commission approved the church's plan to build the temple and housing development by a 2-1 June 2020 vote. A temple groundbreaking appeared imminent. But within days, residents who lived near the proposed site and felt it would alter the rural nature of the area launched a petition drive to put the issue on a future county ballot in the form of a referendum. This does sound very familiar. To trigger a referendum, county leaders said 9.5% of voters needed to sign the petition, a total of 2,445. That threshold also needed to be met in 4 of 5 districts in the county. As the deadline neared for collecting the signatures, the county attorney determined on August 13th that Utah law actually required 16% or 4,119 signatures. County leaders, however, decided that with 8 days left to the deadline, there was too little time to force that higher threshold on the petitioners. County leaders informed the church of their decision, but the church chose not to object. 5 days later, with the petition drive still underway and the outcome still in doubt, the church announced it was withdrawing its plan to build the residential development in Urda. We acknowledge the efforts of those who have raised questions and sincere concerns about the Tooele Valley Temple project, including the residential development surrounding the temple. There is a sincere desire on the part of the church to avoid discord in the community, the First Presidency said in a statement. Therefore, regardless of the outcome of a pending signature gathering effort, we have determined to withdraw our rezoning request for the residential portion of the temple project. The drama continued. On August 26, the county clerk declared that the petition had failed, though it had exceeded the 2,445 total signatures. The petition had met the 9.5% threshold in only 3 of the 5 districts, not 4. The county clerk disqualified a number of signatures, most because the signees were not registered to vote in Tooele County, or had bad addresses, or signatures did not match voting records, or were duplicates. The petition's sponsors sued and a recount was held. An election judge and the attorney reversed some of those decisions and certified the petition. Again, the church was offered the opportunity to object. Twice the church declined, the county attorney said. Does anyone else wonder why? It cannot be out of the goodness of their heart. There has to be some sort of monetary reason or backroom deal happening, right? I am not into conspiracy theories, but the church has shown that it is not altruistic when it comes to building temples where it wants to build them, even if the local residents don't want them or if they defy zoning laws. Have there been any reports that tell the real reason why the church was willing to change when it came to Tooele, but isn't willing to change with the numerous temples being built now that people are petitioning? Back to the article, county leaders then decided to put the referendum on the ballot for the next countywide election in 2022. That is now moot, and not only because the church withdrew its plans on December 15, 2020, the county commission reversed its June decision. It voted to reapply a farmland designation to the church's property in Urda. The housing development won't be built, and the church does not have plans to develop that land. As it said in the beginning of the article, the temple was then moved to a different site and constructed in a more favorable area. This week, that temple is having an open house. Let's watch a few clips from KSL about it.
The Deseret Peak Temple, now the closest temple for members here in the Tooele Valley who used to have to drive to Salt Lake, Bountiful, and even further than that to get to a temple. The members here just beyond excited.
To have it right there and all that it represents, the house of the Lord, is a sweet blessing.
The Deseret Peak Temple will be open for public tours starting Thursday. Inside, you'll see beautiful paintings of Jesus Christ, unique to this Deseret Peak Temple, architecture that represents the unique nature in this valley, and even symbolism in the lighting, shifting your focus towards the heavens.
It's a place to get away from the world and to get closer to God, and that's its primary purpose.
It does represent in a physical, but particularly for us, represents the light of Christ. He is the light and life of the world.
KSL was also there the day the spire was placed. That too, says Primary General President Susan Porter, has symbolism.
And you look at it and you immediately look up at that spire and feel there's something settled, there's something eternal. God loves his children. And here's evidence of it.
Now, the dedication of this temple happens on November 10th. The open house starts on Thursday, will run for 3 weekends, excluding Sundays and General Conference weekend. Church officials expect at least 100,000 people thus far.
I'm sure those of you who've been paying attention to the Mormon Church's temple building frenzy noticed the language in that video. KSL is owned by the church and it seems had no problem towing the current company line about temples. Because the church is currently going into small towns and trying to build temples that do not comply with local zoning laws, they're attempting to claim that their temples must be a certain height and size for them to worship properly. And that is why the church higher-ups in that video all parroted the same BS about the expensive architecture, turning their eyes toward heaven. The woman at the end sounded so uncomfortable saying it, like she was struggling to find the words to say what they told her to say, and she really didn't want to do it. Now let's go to an uncomfortable Mormon text message. It says, "Hey, hope y'all had a great night last night, and it was great to see you all. I don't really know how to say this. It's an uncomfortable thing to say because you are a friend to me and it's not my intention to be disrespectful. I need to tell you, however, that this wedding today will be a family-friendly wedding, even though it won't be a full-blown LDS temple wedding. I need to ask you to dress modestly, at least to a respectful degree. I'm not saying dress like a pilgrim, but there will be a lot of LDS family there and I want to be respectful of them and my bride. I didn't think you would show up to our wedding today dressed like last night, but some things were said by several people last night, so I have to ask this of you. The last thing I want to do is burn bridges between old friends, and I hope this doesn't do that. But I have to say this, I hope you can understand. If you show up today dressed similar to last night, we will ask you to leave. We hope to see you today, but if this bothers you and you don't want to come, so be it." If someone sent that text to me, I would find it incredibly difficult to show up. Throughout my life, I have constantly been censored and silenced, especially when it came to my clothing choices. I was told that I needed to stay small, not draw attention to myself, and be ashamed, especially of my body. So much so that now I find it really hard to show up in situations where I feel like people want me to pretend to be something that I'm not. And now we're going to go to St. Louis to see what church leaders have allegedly been doing there. A lawsuit filed Friday in St. Louis County Circuit Court accuses higher-ups in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints of turning a blind eye to and even encouraging the SA of a teenage girl. The girl, identified only as AL, was abused by Larry Deutsch, who held roles in the Mormon Church that included serving as a bishop in St. Charles and Lincoln counties. Deutsch is currently serving a 12-year sentence in federal prison stemming from the crimes he committed against AL. She is represented in the civil suit by St. Louis attorney Ryan Krupp, who says that suing the church headquartered in Salt Lake City is more than warranted. The LDS exercises a unique level of control over both its clergy and its members unparalleled by other religions. In this case, they exercised that control by counseling both AL's parents and AL regarding Deutsch's behavior. A spokesperson for the church did not respond to a message seeking comment yesterday. Through his work with the church, Deutsch organized youth bicycle trips that AL took part in. After AL and her family moved to Arizona in 2018, she and Deutsch stayed in close contact, eventually spending hours on the phone in a given day, despite an almost 35-year age difference. In the fall of 2019, Deutsch, who was 50, also had AL, then 16, send him photographs. When A.L.'s family discovered this, they filed an order of protection against Deutsch. Then in February 2020, Deutsch flew from Missouri to Arizona, picked up A.L., and drove her back to St. Louis. Within a few days, police located the girl in a Baldwin apartment. Deutsch pled guilty to charges of coercion and enticement of a minor and receiving the images the following year. The lawsuit paints a compelling picture of church leaders' efforts on Deutsch's behalf, including those of an Arizona bishop named Scott Donaldson, who allegedly abetted Deutsch in his predatory behavior throughout 2019 and into 2020, right up until Deutsch took A.L. from Arizona to Missouri. The lawsuit says that A.L.'s mother was alarmed about the relationship between Deutsch and her daughter and in August 2019 wrote to Donaldson and other church leaders asking them to stop it. According to the suit, Donaldson not only ignored the request but instructed the mother to allow the contact between her daughter and Deutsch to continue. Donaldson himself met with the girl in secret about 24 times without the consent of her parents starting in August 2019. At those meetings, the suit says the topic of conversation was the relationship between A.L. and Deutsch, which was being covered up by the church. Krupp says he has police reports showing that LDS leaders in Missouri and Arizona knew about the relationship. But instead of reporting Deutsch, the LDS tried to sweep it under the rug and directly facilitated the relationship. In order to try to stop the communication between Deutsch and their daughter, A.L.'s parents took away her cell phone in the fall of 2019. Deutsch gave A.L. a secret cell phone, and when that phone was discovered by the parents, Donaldson acted as middleman for communication between her and Deutsch, the suit alleges. That was in spite of the order of protection, the suit says. It cites one specific instance in which A.L. communicated to Donaldson that she was having trouble with her piano playing. Bishop Donaldson then spoke directly to Deutsch, who purchased a piano book for A.L. and sent it directly to A.L. from Larry, illegally violating the order of protection, the suit says. Krupp says that based on copies of text messages he's seen between the two men, Donaldson should have been fully aware of Deutsch's illegal intentions concerning A.L. Donaldson had the power, responsibility, and opportunity to prevent A.L. from being harmed. He failed to do so, and the phone logs and text messages will back that, Krupp tells SLM. The third named defendant in the suit is a counselor employed by the church. The suit says that A.L. and her parents told the counselor about the inappropriate relationship and, although she was a mandated reporter, she did not report it to law enforcement. The suit alleges 7 counts of civil conspiracy against Donaldson, the counselor, and the church itself. The church alone is accused of negligent and intentional failure to supervise clergy. And last up today, we will go to a yard sale Facebook page out of American Fork, Utah, where an older couple is attempting to sell everything they own. Why? So they can go on what I assume will be a proselytizing mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The post says, "We are going on a mission and need to sell everything we have to help with the cost. Come take a look." There are then pictures of their belongings, including furniture, decor, plants, and even a piano. You would think that in a church worth literally billions of dollars, older retired couples would not have to sell all of their belongings to go be missionaries and bring more people into the church, who will then pay 10% of their income and add to the church's growing investments. It seems predatory to me. And that's your update for today, folks. I absolutely hope you have the day that you deserve.